Creating the most sophisticated and integrated waste facility in the world was never going to come easily. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ian Maloof and my company is Dial Dump Industries. We specialise in C&D recycling and landfill, and as you may know, in 2012 we opened the Genesis recycling facility in western suburbs of Sydney. At Genesis we achieve a recycling ratio of mixed waste exceeding 80%, and we landfill what's left over. In 2014, the New South Wales EPA adopted a forward-thinking energy from waste policy which aims to enable the recovery of energy from residual waste materials which would otherwise be landfilled. We believe the policy to be correct and are seeking planning consent to build an energy from waste plant. Combined with Genesis, we believe that our TNG facility will create the most sophisticated and integrated waste facility in the world. But this short video will explain better what we want to do.
One of the advantages in servicing the construction and demolition industry is that we know what materials are in the mixed waste which comes to us. Despite the use of recycling technology unparalleled in Australia, there are still materials which are left over, which are too small, too mixed or too dirty to be recovered and reused. These materials are currently transported to landfill by a downhill conveyor and then via the chute. Similar residue delivered by other waste companies is also currently landfilled along with the chute residual waste. 2016 was reported by NASA as being the hottest planetary temperatures on record. This was attributed to a continuing accumulation of greenhouse gases, and in turn, this has been linked to human activity. Greenhouse gases are in part caused by the burning of coal to generate electricity and from landfills. In our earlier video, we depicted this with black balloons. We now have an opportunity to reduce our generation of greenhouse gases from both of these sources by safely unlocking the energy stored in that residual waste. We can use that residual waste material as fuel to generate electricity, and by doing so, reduce the amount of waste going to landfill, which as it decomposed would generate methane gas. Some of the residue waste fuel which we have just shown you can be delivered by truck, while an under-road culvert housing a conveyor can also directly transfer fuel from the Genesis facility. The residue waste fuel is first weighed, then constantly mixed and fed by conveyors to the combustion chambers, where it is burned at high temperatures and the heat used to form steam. All emptied trucks are also weighed as they leave the TNG facility in order to precisely record the fuel which has been used. Inside the plant, the tipping hall is kept at negative air pressure and the fuel waste is tipped into a large concrete bunker. Burning the fuel waste at high temperatures under controlled conditions unlocks the energy. At this point, waste becomes fuel. It typically burns at 850 degrees Celsius for at least 2 seconds. This creates the heat to produce power. It turns water into superheated steam, which drives a high-pressure turbine to power an electric generator. Once the steam has done its job turning the turbines, it is condensed and returned to the boiler. All that's left from the combustion flow process is metal and ash. These are moved away on conveyor belts, and the metal is separated by magnets and collected for recycling. The ash is taken away for analysis and disposal at a licensed facility. The hot gases from the combustion process are treated to remove pollutants. Lime is used to absorb acid gases, activated carbon to fix combustion byproducts, and ammonia to remove oxides of nitrogen. Advanced filtering systems also capture the ash and small particles, which would otherwise go up the chimney. This plant has all of the environmental safeguards built into it from the very beginning. The safeguards which are absent from the old coal-fired power stations and even from the existing motorway tunnels here in Sydney. The level of emissions emissions which will be generated by TNG are below the limits set out by all New South Wales, Australian and European directives, or are at level which are below detection limits. The operation is constantly monitored against the toughest environmental standards, and the plant will operate to a strict automated self-shutdown protocol. The New South Wales EPA will have 24/7 access to both the plant and the online monitoring data. This plant is 21st century technology. It has no cooling towers and it doesn't rely on being near a river, a lake or the ocean. Unlike other forms of electricity generation, it doesn't require stockpiles of coal or create unsightly slag heaps of residue. It perfectly suits the Australian landscape and the Australian environment. Our team at the Next Generation wants to answer your questions and endeavours to make sure everyone in the community has an understanding of this important and innovative project. Please email us at info@tngnewsouthwales.com.au for more information.
In the face of extensive community consultation, including distributing DVDs to 8,000 households and attending public meetings, there remains a stubborn scare campaign motivated by political gain. We prefer not to play politics and instead let the science speak for itself. But staying out of politics just doesn't seem to be an option. We will combat the partial quotes and the misleading statements about incineration, and we will fight the scare campaigns about reduction in recycling. The technology is welcomed and endorsed by those that know the benefits. 87% of EFW in Switzerland are located in urban areas and inner city locations near homes and schools. 75% of Zurich's population voted for an extension of the EFW facility in the centre of their city. Recycling is not compromised. We do not burn what we can sell. Those same people who say energy from waste detracts from recycling don't care that 1 million tonnes of waste every year is being trucked to Queensland and landfilled. Those same people don't know and apparently don't care that there is increasing evidence of fraud and contaminated soils being rebirthed instead of landfilled. Well, we do care, because landfilling is an old-fashioned technology which generates greenhouse gases. Because landfill space is running out, and because we need energy to sustain our growing population. There is no single magic solution for waste disposal, and many technologies need to play a role. So landfill does have its place. But within a decade, landfilling of combustible materials should no longer be an option in this country. Energy from waste is a vital component of the solution for sustainable waste management in Australia going forward. The word incineration is grossly misquoted. Open burning is incineration, and no one agrees with that. But when you add tried and proven technology with strict emissions controls while simultaneously creating electricity, now that is energy from waste. A significant difference indeed. There are over 2,000 energy from waste facilities in over 35 countries around the world operating safely and efficiently, a testament to the technology. And it's time for this technology to be introduced to Australia and bring us into the 21st century. Energy from waste is safe. Employees tested in operating EFW plants, the closest inhabitants to them, verify zero impact on human health. EPA will have live monitoring 24/7. The results are also listed publicly. New South Wales Health wrote the following about the TNG proposal, and I quote, "The conclusion from this review is the proposal would have limited impact on Western Sydney local health district facilities and had the potential to make a positive contribution to a number of priorities and actions outlined in the draft Central District Plan." As an industry, I believe we must raise positive awareness about this great technology. The TNG proposal is creating jobs, diverting over 1 million tonnes per annum away from landfill, progressively in 2 stages, eliminating 3 million tonnes of greenhouse gases per annum, unlocking the renewable energy source, while powering 200,000 homes. We have announced the involvement of the community with a board to make up of members of the community for the life of the project. As long as we consume, we will produce waste. Energy from waste is a positive component in the solution for future sustainable waste management in Australia. The Daddy Group, through TNG, is raising positive awareness for this essential technology. With over 33 years' experience in the waste industry, the Dial-A-Dump Group already provides innovative environmental solutions for many industry sectors. Dial-A-Dump is a principal provider of waste collections and waste management services in New South Wales. Genesis Zero Waste is the market-leading provider of waste transfer, landfill and recycling services for industry. Dial-A Product is the producer and supplier of a vast range of quality recycled products that it brings to market. The next generation is leading the way for energy from waste technology in Australia. The collective ability of the Daddy Group is truly striving to close the loop on waste and provide New South Wales at our Eastern Creek location with the most sophisticated and integrated waste facility in the world. Something for all Australians to be proud of.
You got a full house, everyone's woken up. Any questions for Ian? Yep.
Hello, Jimmy. Make it nice.
Many seem to be asking the question why your proposed plant is so large. Oh, thanks. Many seem to be asking the question why your proposed plant is so large at 1.2 million tonnes per year.
Yeah, Jimmy, it's a private, as you know, it's a private infrastructure project. All right, so we're not putting a hand out to government for something. So what we're doing is proper future planning for Sydney. All right, so we're not building an M4 and M5 that needs to be uprated as soon as it's built. We've proposed, which I need to make very clear, we're getting spruiked as the largest in the world, which is fantastic for my ego. We're not the largest plant in the world. We're building a 4-line plant which consists of basically 2 plants side by side. And the feedback we got from the 2015 submission of the EIS was, yeah, why is it so large? So it's a great question. So what we've done in response to that is said we will build this in 2 stages. So we're building a 500,000 tonne plant, all right? We're landfilling 500,000 tonnes of this stuff right now, all right? So the reverse impact of what we're doing is absolutely necessary. To think that this plant is too big for the future needs of Sydney, that's ridiculous. As population grows, so does waste. Regardless of our recycling efforts, waste is still increasing to landfill year on year, and this is just part of the solution. Right? We're not looking to burn everything that comes along. There's very, very strict guidelines on what we can do, and there's a real commercial driver behind it. There's 140 million reasons why we won't put the wrong things in this plant, because we won't get the levy off if we do. If we don't respect the 75% recycling ratio on C&D and the 50% recycling ratio on C&I, which is part of policy, we don't get the levy back. Right? So this is simple stuff. Thanks for the question, Jim.
Another question? Tony Curry. Take your time, Jimmy.
Ian, you've quoted that there's 1 million tonnes a year going to Queensland. I don't think anybody who loves and respects this industry wants to see that continue. But it goes there because of price. You're going to need a certain price for your facility out at Eastern Creek. How are you going to compete with price on what's going to Queensland?
Common sense will prevail with Queensland before this plant is finished. It's a 3-year build program, and it's been going 4 years now. Enough's enough. It's escalating to 1 million tonnes a year, $135.7 million out of the pocket of government, ripping our roads to pieces. So common sense will prevail. Sometimes it takes time, so it's not our concern. If not, it's just another business to compete with, and we'll do that.
One last question? No?
I've got one.
Okay. I don't know if you're allowed to ask yourself one.
Okay. Terry's there.
Terry?
Ian, there's a waste summit in London coming up shortly, I understand. How do you think your facility compares with what they might be discussing in situations over there?
I'm going to that summit, and I'm speaking at that summit, and I'm also holding a round table, which should be fun. A bit nervous about it already. But it's a good summit. But funnily enough, we're ahead in some ways and way behind in the other. And to explain that, you go over there and there's energy from waste is commonplace. It's a real energy from waste summit, or waste to energy as they flip it, because the world's there and all these guys have got big plants. The funny thing that what they're doing now is trying to make sure that they do enough recycling. On the flip side, New South Wales, I won't speak for the rest of Australia, New South Wales have nailed it, right? We are probably the world leaders when it comes to recycling percentages, and the levy is a huge assistant on that. So here we are saying, over there they're saying, well, we've got energy from waste, it's great, but we need to do more recycling. Here we've got an energy from waste policy, we're doing great recycling, we don't have an energy from waste plant. All right? So it's time. It's time we caught up, but when we catch up, and as I say, once we introduce this plant here, or our proposed plant, I'll be a little bit humble about it, we will lead the world in this. There's no doubt about it. The combination of the landfill, the recycling, we're always expanding that, and the integration with this plant, number one, we will be the best in the world.
Thanks, Ian. You did great. You don't need to be nervous.
Can I share one thing?
Oh, okay.
Okay. Just in case someone's here from Blacktown Council, I just want to send a message through you back to your council and maybe local councils of a lost opportunity that's staring you right down the face, and maybe the rest of the councils here might want to take note of this as well. There's a small minority scare campaigning against this plant, which is commonplace. That's okay. Everyone's got their own opinion. Respect that. All right, there's a lot of misleading information, and some of it's being spruiked by a minority of politicians as well. The one thing that councils are not hearing, which is a shame, and we've put it out there more than once, overseas, a lot of these plants are owned by their communities, which they can be proud of, right? So they supply it with the waste, and they get the power back, all right? The community over there is a council here, same thing. The councils, instead of spruiking sort of against this technology, which is inevitable to come here because it is a responsible action, should be working out how we can help solve that problem, bring their waste to us and become a part of this facility in some type of fashion of ownership. So if you work out that if maybe for the first time ever, a council could own part of a facility in its own area and return the money to the people, all right? It's a completely different concept, which really, that opportunity is walking straight past this council. I've said it as clear as that, and they're deaf. So I say this to all of you, all right? We are saying that the people of Blacktown, instead of saying this is the worst thing in the world to come to us, they should be proud of it and help us feed the children that have got there with it. And I say it in all honesty, all right? There's a commercial thing to it and also a waste solution. So if anyone here from the councils, it's a great thing to consider because they do it overseas and they're proud of it. It's enough from me.
Thanks, Ian.
Thank you.